Hello everybody and welcome back to Build with Django Web Development for Beginners. In the last video, we explored what Django is and why developers love it. Now it's time to get our hands dirty. We'll look at how a Django project is structured, how to create one, run it, and finally create our very first Django app. Don't worry even if it feels a little overwhelming at first. Django sets up most of this for you automatically. So let's see how it all comes together. So let us now look at the Django project layout. So when you create a new Django project, Django automatically creates a structured folder layout for you. This structure keeps your project organized and helps separate configuration files from your main code. So here is an example of the project layout, the structure that Django automatically creates for you when you start a new Django project. Here, as you can see, the outer directory in this example is called My First Project. This is just a container for your entire project. Now, within this, you have this manage.py file, which is your project's command line assistant. You will use it to run the server, create apps, and manage the database. Now inside this, you also see that there is another directory with the same name, which is My First Project. Now this holds the most important configuration files for you. And also there is this db.sqlite3, which is the database that will be used for the project, which we will come into detail as we move ahead. Alright, now within this subdirectory called My First Project, we have this important configuration files. So here we have something called settings.py, which contains all your project's configurations, like the database, the installed apps, the middleware, etc. And then we have this urls.py, which defines how different URLs map to different pages or views. And then we also have this asgi.py and wsgi.py, which are entry points for deploying your apps on web servers. And then we also have a file called init.py, which tells Python that this folder is a package. Now this layout might look like a lot for you now, but Django takes care of most of it for you. You just need to understand what each piece does. Now let's move to the CodeChef platform, where we will create a Django project and we can see all of these things in action. So here I am on the CodeChef platform, and this is the project environment on the CodeChef platform, where we have already installed Django for you on this project environment, so that you can dive straight into creating our first project. So let's begin here. So in order to create our very first Django project, the command to do this is Django-admin start project followed by the name of your project. So in this example, we are going to call our first project My First Project. So here, as you can see, this is the terminal window, and you can just type that command here on the terminal window and it will create the first Django project for you, which will be called My First Project. So this command has already been run for you here, so we can see that the files have already been created for you. So here, as you can see, we have this file explorer, and if you click on it, you can see the files that gets created. So as I already told you, this command has already been run for you. So because of that, it created this directory called My First Project. Now if you expand this, you can see that there is another subdirectory called My First Project. If you remember, this was there in the layout that I showed you, and if I expand this, you can see that the important configuration files are all present over here. Alright, now that we have created our first Django project, let us see it in action. Let us learn how to run the Django project. For that, we use the following commands. First of all, we say cd my first project. Now what this command does is, it moves into our project folder that was created. And then the command that we use is python space manage.py run server 0.0.0.0 colon and the port number, which is 3000. Now what this will do is, it will start the development server on the port 3000. Alright, let me just show you on the terminal here. First of all, let us look at the file explorer, and you see we have this my first project, which is the Django project which was created in the previous step. So here I will first move into that directory by typing cd space my first project. Now we are in that directory, and then we can run the command which is python manage.py run server 0.0.0.0 colon 3000. Now if I press enter, we can see that the server is running, and if I refresh the page here on the right, you can see it says the install works successfully, congratulations. So there it is. Django displays a default page which says the install worked successfully, congratulations, which means that everything is set up perfectly, and this is how you would run any Django project that you have created. You can also achieve this by clicking on this run button here. This run button has been configured in such a way that it would run these commands, and if you click on submit, it will verify that everything is working as expected. So if you click on submit, it checks if the server is running and if the welcome page loads successfully. Alright, so we have a project called my first project now, and we have also seen how to run the project. So now that we have the project, let us create an app inside it. Now think of Django app as a mini module inside your project that does one specific job, like handling users, products, or blog posts. A Django project can have multiple apps working together. Now the command for creating an app is python manage.py start app followed by the name of the app. So here again, what we have to first do is move to the project folder that we have already created. So cd my first project followed by this command called python manage.py start app my first app. So this command has already been executed for you, and when you execute this command, if you open the file explorer and if you expand the my first project directory that we have, you can see that there is another directory that is created with the name of the app, which is my first app. Now if you expand this, you can see that there are multiple files that are automatically created for you, which is a part of this app that Django creates for you. So here you can see that this app directory also has its own structure, and there are different files like models.py, which is for defining your database structure. Then we have views.py for handling requests. Then we have admin.py and apps.py for configurations. And also there is a migration folder here to track database changes. Later we will also add other files like urls.py, templates, and static to make our app more functional. So don't worry, all these things will become clear as we move ahead. Alright, now that we have the app, let us add a simple view to this app. Now views in Django are Python functions or classes that handles HTTP requests and return HTTP responses. They contain the logic for processing user requests and generating responses such as web pages, JSON data, and error messages. So if you look at the file explorer here under the my first app directory, which is the directory that is created as a part of our app, we have this views.py file which is automatically created, and this is the file that is open for you in the file editor here. And here we have created a simple view called index, and what this index does is it is just going to return a simple HTTP response, which is a text which says welcome to my first Django app. So that is what this view does. We will come into the details of how to create views as we move ahead. For now, just understand that we have a function called index which takes a request and it returns an HTTP response which says welcome to my first Django app. So this is our very first Django view. Okay, now that we have our view ready, the next step is registering this app and mapping the app. Now what we mean by registering the app is that Django needs to know that this app exists. So we have created a project called My First Project, and we have created an app called My First App. So we need to tell Django that this app exists. So in order to do that, we have to open the settings.py file inside the inner My First Project directory. So let's come to the file explorer. Now you can see inside this My First Project inner directory, we have this file called settings.py, and that is the one that is open for you here. Now here you have to
scroll down to this installed app section, and we have to add the name of our app over here. So here I press enter, and within single inverted commas I type the name of my app, which is my first app, and you can add a comma here. So we have added our app over here. So by doing this, we have registered our app with the Django project. So this is an important step that you have to do once you have created an app. So all the apps that you have created should be present under this installed app section in the settings.py file. Okay, now that we have created the view and also we have registered our apps in settings.py file, in order to see something on the screen, we have to map our view to an URL inside the urls.py file. Now if I open the file explorer again, you can see there is a file called urls.py which is inside the my first project. Okay, so remember this urls.py that we are working with is under the directory my first project, not under the my first app. You can also have it under my first app, which we will discuss as we move ahead, but now we are working on the urls.py file of the my first project. Now here you can see there is some code written. Now what this code does is that it is defining the URL patterns, and here you can see path, and there are inverted commas without anything between them, and it says views.index comma name equal to index. Now what this means is that when you visit the home page, Django will call the index view from the my first app. So here we have imported the views from our my first app, which is the app that we have created, and when we visit the home page, which is denoted by this empty inverted commas, Django will call the index view from the my first app. Now what is that index view? If you look at our my first app here, if I expand and open the views.py file, you see index was the function that was here. And what does it return? It returns a message saying welcome to my first Django app. So that is what is going to be called here when we visit the home page. Now if you visit the admin section, it is going to open some admin related things. Don't have to worry about this now. Let's just focus on the home page for now. Okay, so we have created the Django app, we have created our view, we have mapped the view to a URL, and also we have registered the app in the settings. Now that we have everything ready, let us run the project. So for that, again, the command, as I told you, is cd space my first project in order to move to this my first project directory, and then we run the server by using the command python manage.py run server 0.0.0 :3000. Now I can also do it by just clicking on this run button instead of typing everything, because that has been already configured for you. Now it is running, and you can see on the right hand side on the browser it displays welcome to my first Django app. Okay, so what we essentially did here, we just visited the home page. When we clicked on the run button, the project started and it went to the home page. Now when it went to the home page, what happened was that from the urls.py file, it calls the index view from my first app. And what is there in the index view of my first app? Let me expand it again and show you the views.py file. The views.py file has this index view which returns welcome to my first Django app, and that is the one that is displayed on the screen. And that's it. You have just built and run your first Django app. So that is how you create a Django project, create an app, register it in settings, create a view and map it to a URL, and this is how you run the app.
So in this video, we learned how a Django project is structured, how to create one, and then build our very first Django app. You will explore these steps again on the CodeChef platform, where you can run commands, see files, and verify your work. Now in the coming videos, we'll dive deeper into views and URLs, where we'll start connecting the logic of our app with actual web pages. So go ahead, try it yourself, and I will see you in the next video.